My name is Guy Fraker, and I'm the Chief Innovation Officer at Insurance Thought Leadership, or ITL for short. Hope you all are doing well. On this particular installment of Jobs to be Done and Innovation Tips, I want to take the opportunity to build on a recent 6 Things article that my colleague and partner Paul Carroll wrote about being prepared as a risk manager for uncertain futures. If you haven't had a chance to read it, I would certainly go to the 6 Things blog at the Insurance Thought Leadership website. I think you'll find it not just entertaining, but very thought-provoking. In a lot of the companies that we talk to and have coached and worked with, one of the most difficult steps in the innovation process is essentially how to get across the starting line. I mean, there's a million possibilities. There's all this universe of activity going on. And so a lot of companies just tend to fear what they don't know, and it can become somewhat paralyzing. So today's job to be done is about crossing that starting line. And what's a good way to do it? Now, many of you have heard and possibly even used the methodology of scenario planning. That methodology is planning for multiple outcomes. It's important to remember, we're not going to be fortune tellers and predict the future. What we can do is develop a good fact base and forecast. Scenario planning is a practice that I've engaged in going on 15 years now, and I've found it extremely helpful in helping build confidence around where to start, where to select a strategic domain. Now, for many, they see trends, data, information. They make a decision about where to go, what to do, here's where we're going to start, or here's the decision that has to be made. And then they plan, execute, and very often it doesn't quite turn out. And that's planning for a single outcome, when there's all kinds of variables that actually enter the process of execution. Let me think of a case study. Here's an executive who recently planned for a single outcome. Now, for those of you who may not be aware of our case study here, Circe, she definitely had planned for an outcome, executed to be absolutely prepared for a result she envisioned. And how did it turn out? Yeah, not so good. When we take a deep dive in scenario planning, put a small team together and make a statement as if you had made a decision, and it's 5 or 7 years in the future. For example, we decided to build our innovation program and our emphasis around applications in artificial intelligence. Okay, boom. Where does that put us 5 to 7 years from now? Then you get some experts together and pull together people from within your company and then develop the scenarios. Now, what are scenarios? Scenarios are deep and rich, robust stories about the future on that topic. And you're essentially able to look at your decision as if you had made it in the aftermath, and very often the outcomes are quite a bit different. When engaged in doing innovation work where this industry is going to be transformed, you want to be one of the transformers. In the process, you will learn what road signs to look for so that directionally you know or have a high degree of confidence in which of those future states are going to come to pass. I have done and facilitated, I should say, scenario planning on the intersection of monetary policy and immigration policy. I've developed scenarios around U.S.-Middle East relations. I had one chief technology officer come to me and say, okay, let's assume 5 to 7 years from now we were successful at cutting our budget by 50% and doubling our output. What would that take? Turns out it was possible. Now, this was an IT shop of 7,000. And the reason I bring that example up is simply because once they discovered it was possible, then the answer to what it took to do it, not so good. And they avoided a huge mistake. So what was the outcome? They did double their output, and they did cut their annual budget by 30% instead of 50%. And it was a very simple twist on their existing model. I've also done scenario planning on the shared economy, which was a great way to look at long-term consequences. Certainly have done more than my share of scenario planning projects around autonomy and transportation. So, if you're looking for a methodology to build confidence, build knowledge, then consider using scenario planning as a great way to cross that starting line.
From the perspective of your customer.
Well, that's it for the jobs to be done tips on this video. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you have found this information useful in your innovation efforts, and I look forward to continuing to share more tips and more helpful hints in the world of insurance innovation. Thank you.